All right, guys. Well, we are trying our new. Oh, there we go. It's stable now. Um, Camera stand with a lathe. It's quite a long extension. It's probably around a meter, so a bit of wobbling when you start it. But anyway, let's move right along. So I've had absolutely zero requests on how to make a key pin or driver pin or a lock on a lathe. I've had none. um, except for myself. You see, I have this the Abus 7240, and I do love these locks. I do enjoy picking them. They're good comfort locks. And what I have found is that here's a drawing of the driver pin because it's got one standard pin and five spool pins. And what happens is the from extensive picking, let's find something to point with. I've got a chuck key that'll do. These corners tend to round off, so they're no longer holding their full set. And so I thought, well, let me try and make that. Now, as you can see, this is in millimeters. We've got some fine measurements. So mostly I just eyeball it because bloody hell. And so the importance, of course, is the width and the depth of this spool, and that those edges are square and that this is square. So how do we go about doing it? Well, I started off by getting in some 3 millimeter brass stock from Timu, and then I have my trusty old parting tool, which I don't know, it just works. This is the first one I ever made, and grinding high speed steel, I did this with an angle grinder, as you can see. Actually, I lie. I put a small Dremel stone, as you can see on here. Let's get that into focus. In the chuck and spun it and placed it this way and just sort of moved it up and down until I got a good cutting edge. But actually, it's worked quite well as a parting blade. So I'm quite happy with that. As you can see, I only cut from this side. The reason is the first thing we have to do is we have to square it off the chuck. So for that, I just use a small engineering square and pop it in there, bring it across, and that's pretty square, as you can see. Um, so I've done a few, obviously, because you got to get your tooling right. So I don't like to leave that there. I like to leave it clear of the chuck, so in case I switch it on, it's not gonna collide with anything. So I've cut a few, and I've got a very small stick out here. This tool works really only for parting. So let's get that into focus. You can see I made a couple of them, and they've come out okay. I'm not sure on the measurements, but it's got a little nubbin over there. So first I'm going to just take care of that because you do want a good clean square there. I can clear this out the way now. We don't want too much stick out because this is very, very, very small diameters we're working with, and you're going to get a lot of deflection. And speaking of deflection, what I found is that now you can get quite close up, so you really, really don't want a lot of stick out. Even that's a lot. Um, let's just give it a whirl and see we haven't got it skew in there. You don't want too much. We were talking about deflection. Um, and I've also found that these a right-hand cutter like that just doesn't cut it with these. You just get a lot of deflection. So I'm finding the high-speed steel works for me. Obviously, it'll work for someone else different, but that's RPMs are very high, and you can see you're going to get a little bit of wiggle there. So this tends to cut left to right also. I don't know how, I must have just cut it right. And so that's a bit of a win. So first I do is clean it up. I don't want to do anything else but clean it up. Now I know that let's put that down here. That from our drawing, that this is, call it 1.6 mils, and that is 3.59, call it 3.6. That's 1 mil, that's 1 mil. So that much I can pretty much eyeball. So then I have another blade. Now this blade is more of a thicker parting blade, and I have not had much luck getting the geometry of this one just right. So I'm just going to take a look, make sure my height is right. And first thing I'm going to do is cut out those spools, because there's a reason for that. When you are getting your parting blade in, you get a small amount of deflection up here. Or no, I don't know what deflection, bulging just on the top here. It's obviously pushing some material out the way and giving it a slight lump, which is going to really, really mess up your measurements. So I'm going to cut that groove. I'm going to go down a bit on the RPMs. Just introduce it to the material. Now, you can see when it's cutting, when you introduce it, when you're sort of touching off, if you're going to get one angle or another angle, if you haven't cut this in right, you're gonna have a problem, because you're not going to get an even spool. So what I do is just with it in there. If I'm not coming right, I get the old Lansky knife sharpening set, and I just use a stone to give it a grind just for the hand until I get an even touch off. Because we know we've cleaned up the surface is right. So if that's going in at an angle, then your angle of the cutting edge isn't exactly straight. So I'm going to go in a bit with this. And keeping it clear of any debris in there, because debris gets jammed in and can affect your cut. Now we know the inside is 1.82 millimeters, so for that I just use a dowel veneer and get it in there. So at the moment we are on 2.42, so I can go in quite a bit. Now I'm not using the dials on the compound assembly to measure this depth. I'm just going with the veneer because I trust that more. So I'm a little bit under, but the depth isn't really the end of the world. Now, any deflection I'm going to get off here, or any bulging, is not going to be affected, because I'm going to do my cleanup cut and get my diameter right with the other tool and part it off while we're there. But while we're here, what we're going to do is get another mole from the edge. What I did do is use a dial indicator on the compound, which I've installed. And let me see if I can bend that down. There's a little block here. And nope, I don't want to mess with this camera too much. And that's just to give me this. But I thought, at 1 mil, it really isn't going to make a difference. If you're a little bit down, a little bit up, you really are there. Now with that last cut, we're just marking a position. Looks kind of right. And for the purists out there, let's see if we are indeed correct. Nope, we can't even get that in there. You see, this is why we eyeball it, because I'm not taking parts out and back in and parts out and back in. So we're pretty much done with that bit. It's one of these blades. I'm not happy with the blade itself. The only one I could get was 12 mils, and on many lathes you really need a 10 mil one. So I have ordered some 10 mils, which is going to give me, you can see the locking screw, the locking nut doesn't even fit on it. So I've ordered some 10 mil blades, 10 by 2, and I'm hoping that will give me a better parting tool. But I am quite fond of these. I have tried other ones, and they just make my life horrific. We all know parting, like I've tried this, and parting just isn't fun on any lathe. So, especially for a beginner like me, and I am a complete beginner. So, let's start with our trimming down. You can see that's all I'm using is a high-speed steel, and the reason why I've done that is to just mark its position on the parting, and our spool is ready, so we can start bringing it down to 2.39. Let's go. So as you can see, I'm running it up and up and down until the deflection goes away, which is what I found this little high-speed steel bit is quite good at. Um, and then we stop to measure. So because we are dealing with such fine measurements, I'm not really that comfortable with using my what are we on here? We are on 2.65. So we're getting there. So I prefer to just cut a bit, measure a bit, cut a bit, measure a bit. And of course, if you do what I did and backed your slide out, you're going to have a problem getting it to go again. So we're on 2.6. Uh, let's carry on. Now you're going to, as you go, get more of a. So you need to be careful and run it onto this side because you're not sure if you got all the deflection out. The focus is not great on this. So we carry on. We still there. So I pulled the slide out and so again I'm going up and down until the deflection disappears. You can see the initial part off line. Would you look at that? We have got 2.39 on the dot. Or is it? Yes, it is. This is an old veneer, so we're just going to make sure we are spot on the money there. See, there's your 2.5, and we are there. Take another measurement. Spot on with our 2.39. That was nicely done. Let's go back in and part it off. So there you can see I've got a, so we were spot on the money, but I hadn't cut my initial parting marker in the correct place. Just it didn't cut it, well, it didn't cut it deep enough. So let's see what a difference it has made to the thickness of the material. So to its thickness, we've gone up 2.46. So I need to touch it off again. Just to get that off. And let's check if we are back down to 2.39. Maybe that was a little bit much. We've gone back. But that's sufficient. I mean, you don't need such accuracy, but I'm happy with that. I'm going to take that home. So let's get to parting it off. That one disappeared across the room. What happened here? But we went through. So, guys, somewhere in the garage is a correctly cut key pin, and it's probably the nicest one I made. So, there you get the idea. You can whack them out when you get used to your measurements and you got all your tooling ready. Um, Here I had a bit of a struggle with the parting, but like I say, parting is a bit of an issue. And now I'm going to go and look for the missing key pin, or I'll just make another one. Up. Thanks for watching. I don't know if this is ever going to help anyone, because I don't know if you're going to buy key pins. The problem is you can't get key pins, the driver pins for this. You get key pins, I've got plenty. Can't get the driver pins. So once they're worn out, it just gets harder and harder to pick, and until you really can't pick it anymore. And so yeah, I'd like to refurbish them. I've got like about 8 of them, so I have quite a few key pins to go. So thank you for watching.